and I just want to make some points. I've been putting out a few videos, but I think they're entirely necessary. And this is geared for those people who don't understand what coaching qualifications in Australia is all about. Now, I'll just make this brief. Now, if you're a martial arts instructor, just having your black belt or whatever belt you've got, that isn't good enough. So why that isn't good enough is that the particular belt is only recognised by a particular master, whoever that master might be. Now, that's well and good, but it's not recognised, and I'll repeat this, it's not recognised by the Australian government, and the insurance companies don't recognise it either. Now, there are certain groups who claim to be doing Zoom sessions and all sorts of things from Brisbane, Australia, and I know for a fact they have no VTech recognised coaching qualifications. None. Zero. Zip. They shouldn't be teaching anyone. Now, not legally anyhow, right? So just to further clarify that, I've gone through all this because I was part of the organisations, various organisations that established qualified teaching in Australia for martial arts instructors. Now, I'll just give you a bit of insight into that. I also worked with and wrote articles with a barrister down in Melbourne regarding so-called martial arts qualifications versus teaching qualifications. They're two separate things, but you've got to have both to be operating a school in Australia. A lot of people do everything like cowboys, and the big danger in that is that you have these people who claim to be teachers but have no idea of safety, exercise physiology, insurance, risk management, what's safe and not safe, and all this sort of stuff. So I'll go into that in this video a little bit just to give you a little bit of idea. Now, as far as my qualifications are concerned, okay, there's no argument with my qualifications. They're standalone, and I've spent a lot of time, energy and money getting educated. Number one, I have diplomas, plural, diplomas in sports coaching, specialising in martial arts. Now, that's not a certificate 3 or 4, it's a higher level of diploma. It's the highest level you can do in the vocational education training system, which is a government recognised system in Australia. Number 2, I have a diploma in fitness, which basically makes me a master personal trainer. Also, I have a certificate in training and assessment, which makes me a qualified TAF or TAF college teacher. So to be a TAF college teacher, you've got to have a certificate 4 in training and assessment, and I'm telling you, that certificate is very, very difficult to get. I've been through it, so I know. Then I've gone one step above that. By the way, also I'm a strength coach. I was an Olympic weightlifter, Queensland titles 1976, and my coach was two times Olympian Nev Perry. The Mexico Games and the Mexican Games and the Rome Olympics Neville was in. And so I've got all my strength coaching qualifications. So, I used to own a gym with 2,000 members, and I've trained thousands of people, written programs for thousands of people. Now, here's the thing with registered training organisations. Now, my little associates in the past claimed that they had a registered training organisation. Well, that's all history now, and it's been deregistered for many, many years. On the other hand, I linked in with Grandmaster Barry Johnson, who's a master in Kyokushinkai karate. You know, that's a pretty tough martial art. And he put together, and I partnered with him, he put together the Australian Coaching, Sports Coaching Federation or organisation, sporting coaching organisation, and it was a registered training organisation in Melbourne, Australia, Bendigo near Melbourne, for something like 10 years. Now, during that time, I was subcontracted and partnered with Grandmaster Barry Johnson, and during that time he has qualified with VTEC, Australian recognised sports coaching qualifications, which are quite an achievement. 15,000 sports coaching qualifications. I was part of that. I'm qualified by that. And Grandmaster Barry Johnson had put $20 million, contributed $20 million into the Australian economy. Now, how's that for an achievement? 15,000 qualifications, both nationally in Australia and overseas, sports coaching, you know, diplomas in sports coaching, diplomas in fitness. We covered all that. He ran many courses through schools, which are all recognised by the government, and congratulations to him. But the big thing was, I was part of that, and I had given RPLs to many martial arts instructors, including Grandmaster Peter Wong, who's a 9th Dan in the ITF. Who do you think did Grandmaster Wong's recognised prior learning for sports coaching? That was I. And of course, Grandmaster Wong's a qualified architect, and he's a qualified homeopath, and he's got a whole lot of university level qualifications. But it was I who did the sports coaching RPL for Grandmaster Wong. And accordingly, Grandmaster Wong has stamped and certified my 8th Dan certificate as well. So I don't need anyone else for certification. All right, I'm the one who's certifying people now. You know, I don't need the certification from anyone. But the point I'm making is that Graham Healy, as one of the founding, or if not the founding original international Yun Jun Do instructor, 1989, I put money, startup capital, into the startup capital of Yun Jun Do. That's fact. That's historical fact. I was the first international instructor to Papua New Guinea with John Chilai, who was the chief instructor of New Guinea. And of course I was with Sonny Ryan, came with me. Great bloke, Sonny Ryan from the Cook Islands. And then of course I was a good associate of Reginald Jokin, who was the chief instructor of Yun Jun Do of Fiji. And Reginald, by the way, established all the contacts in Europe and the UK and in the USA with his good wife, who's a professor at the university, for Yun Jun Do. Funnily enough, and of course I also mentioned my good friend Latu Leonga, who was the chief instructor of New Zealand for Yun Jun Do. Now, isn't it interesting, and I'll just keep repeating this point to people, I was the chief instructor of North Queensland, basically. I mean, I was the only instructor that had a fully blown health centre in 1985, 1989, ITF days, Yun Jun Do days, you know, all the other days. So I've run things professionally a long time, right? So I know what's required educational-wise and safety-wise and insurance-wise. None of the characters who are currently running Zoom sessions have any qualifications, not any Australian recognised qualifications. So think very carefully about that. And the other thing I want you to think about that, those that are listening to this video, why did all the chief instructors of Yun Jun Do resign by the year 2000? They're all gone, including me. I resigned twice. I was smart. I resigned first in 1995. I'd sent a letter, which I have records of everything. I have records of every letter that's been sent. I have records of the letters of resignation of the other chief instructors. So you just got to ask yourself this simple question. Why? Why? Who is responsible? All those people I mentioned, John Cholo, Reginald Oken, Latu Leonga, myself, all men of integrity. And you know what that means, integrity? I put it on my badges in the school. There's a biblical thing, actually. The integrity of the righteous will guide their way. So I don't deal with anyone with no integrity. Are you listening to me? You people with no integrity? You know who you are? That's why I don't deal with you. And if I do have to deal with people with no integrity, you very quickly forget that I'm the guy in 1985 that was attacked with a fully armed robbery, shotgun, the whole box and dice, and I put that guy in hospital and away went to jail. Now, that's just my past. You know, I actually can do what I say I can do. And the people I associate with, they're all solid people. John Cholo, for instance, is now the president of the World WTF, World Taekwondo Federation. Reginald now, I think, is retired from martial arts, I think. But he's a very successful businessman. He actually always was a successful businessman. Very smart man, actually. I take my hat off to Reginald. And of course, Latu, I think Latu's just retired, but he's refired. He's pursuing his singing career, lovely guy, and he's also training some full contact fighters in the background. So Latu's still training, just like I have for the last 20 years, brought the Israeli commandos out here in 2007. Commander Krav Maga, National Director. Yeah, I might know a thing or two, folks. Right now, getting back to the main part of this video. If someone claims to be teaching you something, right, check their qualifications. Just having a black belt from someone, question mark, ain't good enough. You've got to have, in Australia, and more increasingly now overseas, you've got to have coaching, government coaching qualifications. None of the people that I've seen that are setting themselves up in the background have any of that. Including the registered training organisation doesn't exist anymore from the historical point of view of Jung. And in fact, I'll go so far as to say this, is the whole, even the badges, the copyright or the trademarking is all expired years ago. So, you know, all this talk of something happening in 2023, you've got to ask yourself, in the last 20 years, nothing's happened. In the last 20 years, the RTO, Registered Training Organisation, expired. The last 20 years, how many certificates of recognised prior learning or government recognised certificates had been issued? The answer is none. In the meantime, Master Graham has been involved in issuing 15,000 VTech qualifications and helped contribute to $20 million in the Australian economy. That's an achievement. And the other thing that I'll finish up on this is that why I don't associate with certain people anymore is I know their background. And, you know, once I've discovered that, I separate myself from people of no integrity. So when you make a choice on who you're linking up with in the future, I just say this, tick the box. Has that person got Australian recognised coaching qualifications? Are they recognised by the Australian government education system? If they're not, they shouldn't be teaching, they shouldn't be instructing you, and they will lead you down the garden path because they just don't know. They haven't got the knowledge. So I'll finish on this. Over the years, I've written many articles, including articles in the Martial Arts magazine about fitness education and blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is you can have your black belts, but you've got to understand the education behind it. Risk management, exercise physiology. This is when I brought the Israeli commandos over there. There's certain moves that they do which would get you in jail in Australia. And it's like Criminal Code 1899. When I mention that to people, they go, what? What's Criminal Code 1899? That's the code of proportionate response. That's not taught in many martial arts organisations. And in fact, if you're attacked or you have to respond physically, you have to proportionately respond. And as I've said in the other videos, there's 4 levels of self-defense. Spiritual. Not many people understand that too clearly. Mental. They try and BS everyone, right? Mental attack. Legal. I've had a few people try legal things on me. Good luck. I've got a team of lawyers behind me, always have. I've been in business many years. I don't intimidate legally. I go on the attack legally because I've got all the documentation that I've kept on various characters over the years, including those who've assaulted people. I'll leave it at that. I better not get my hands on you, I'll tell you. I'll leave that at that too. And finally, it's physically. Now, physically, you only have to handle people physically. If they attack you, you've got the right to neutralise them legally. But in Australia, if you go overboard, if you do, like for instance what I see on the internet with some of these commandos and all this sort of stuff, if you go that far, you will be in jail. Okay, that's Graham Healy, Master Graham Healy to some. I am a fully certified 8th Dan. I have got my documents stamped officially by Grandmaster Peter Wong of the International Taekwondo Federation, and I've got all the education that you'd possibly want to need. So if you want someone, and this is a shout out, if you want someone who was the original Yun Do international instructor to Papua New Guinea, along with Sonny Ryan, you want someone who's actually got the credentials and they can actually teach people correctly with the correct anatomy and physiology mentality. You want someone like that to associate with, give me a call and, contact me on my website. Commando Krav Maga Australia, Brisbane.com or yunjandohealy.com. It's all there, all the same website, just has different addresses pointing to it. And I'll take you down a road of the future, not the past. You see, there's 3 things that I teach with my background. Boxing skills and drills, commando skills and drills, because I was the National Director of Commando Krav Maga. And, I started off in Taekwondo under General Choi. Then I was in the ITF with GM Grandmaster Yun. Then I was a founding instructor of Yun Do. Then I resigned twice from Yun Do. But I've evolved my system further and better than the past previous systems. And I know that. I've known that for a long time. But I've given people, a chance to prove otherwise to me. But all I see is Groundhog Day repeating the past. So if you think, as a practical example, if you think a lower section block with your forearm is going to stop a kickboxer, I'm sorry, you'll wind up in hospital. So if you want to understand how to do techniques that actually work from someone who has trained a lot of people, including prison wardens and what have you, and I'm qualified to do it, and I'm qualified to heal people as well. I've done that. Many students with, different muscle injuries. I can do the dry needling and acupuncture. You want to associate with someone who's got some intelligence about this? Give me a call. Or if you want to go back in the time machine and go back to something that's been dead and buried for 20 years, that's your choice. Graham Healy over and out. Have a good day. I hope to be hearing from some of you soon, but in the meantime, I'm pressing on with Healy's Integrated Self-Defense Academy. That's where the future is, not with looking in past events. That's great, but it's not going to get you anywhere. Okay, Graham Healy over and out. Have a great day.